How are you? This is Lisa from Live in Motion. We're going to be focusing on some fantastic breakfast ideas this morning. And as some of you may or may not know, I'm a holistic nutritionist and I'm also your fitness trainer. And I've been working with the BOAA for some time now, doing a lot of the classes, especially the online stuff where we've been working so hard over the last year on shape up and strength and everything to try to get the body moving and focusing on vitality and all these fantastic ideas. And today what we're going to do is we're going to focus on some breakfast things to really help nourish the body and get ourselves moving and more energized during our classes. Okay, so what we're going to focus on first, and my camera guy Jeff here is in the background, he's going to be moving around a little bit just to help us out with the video. So what we're going to be doing first here today is one of our favorite recipes, and I only chose just a few ingredients to start with today. So we have some eggs, and this is the 12 eggs here that we've pre-scrambled and have prepared. So our video will be nice and quick, and I'll be including all the recipes in the video as well. So we've chosen here some spinach, some excellent nutrient jam-packed spinach. We've got lots of B vitamins like folic acid and things to really help with energy and energizing the body. And we've also included some peppers. So just some red peppers, some orange peppers. Now we always like to include a variety of colors in our foods to make sure that we're getting a variety of vitamins and minerals from those foods. Now, I've also included some mushrooms. Now, I've pre-chopped most of the mushrooms. I will be finishing off one mushroom here. And we've also included some scallions. Now, just remember that you can pretty much add anything that you want into this egg recipe. Now, this egg recipe, what we're going to do with this is we're going to make it into muffin tins. So it's going to be little egg muffins. Okay, so when I post that recipe, I'll have all different types of options that you can put into this egg recipe. Okay, so let's get started. So first, I'm just going to finish off with the chopping of the mushrooms. And I'm not a pro chef or anything here, but I will try not to cut my fingers. So we'll just get these finished off here nice and easy. And then what we're going to do after that is we're going to then just mix everything into the eggs. Just clean that off a little bit. Just move this off to the side. Okay, so very, very, very simple. So, you know, you've got some ideas here in the morning where maybe you don't want to spend a lot of time doing your breakfast. And these are great little things to also pre-prep ahead of time and then also freeze. We pop them in the freezer and then we can take them out of the freezer. And then some people like to use a microwave and then they can just pop them in the microwave and then defrost them. And then you've got some pre-prepped food ready to rock and roll for your breakfast. Okay, so I'm just going to take a few seconds here just to chop up the spinach. Again, we'll just keep an eye on my fingers here. And I will use probably just about a handful of spinach, but you also have to remember too that when you do cook with spinach, it shrinks, right? Because it is quite a little bit of a watery vegetable. So you wouldn't really overdo it if you decided to put some extra spinach into that recipe. Okay, so we're almost done here. Okay, just get all those big chunks chopped right up. Okay, some old chunks here. Okay, so I'm just going to add those right on into my egg recipe. And also too, some people do like dairy. We're not big dairy eaters. So I don't necessarily always add things like cheese and stuff into my food just because I am dairy intolerant. But if you're not and you tolerate dairy well, you can add in some cheese to add some extra flavor, some calcium, and some other minerals into your diet for that. Okay, so just mix it up really well. And then all I've done here is greased my muffin tin. Now, what I did here is I put the coconut oil in here. Now, I like to use coconut oil as one of my healthy oils. And I usually just pick up a big container of that at Costco or from Metro. or Loblaws, whatever, you know, is a good close grocery store. Most grocery stores now carry a lot of these things, which is really good. Because back in the day, probably like 16 years ago when I moved here, it was always so hard to get some of these healthier options. Okay, so I added salt and pepper to my eggs as well, so feel free to do that, or any other types of herbs, maybe some fresh parsley or something that you enjoy. And it's just like pretty much anything that you want. There is no limit. Now, we did jam pack this up with a lot of veggies, so you can pick and choose how much vegetable you actually want to use in this recipe. Again, that's your choice. And as you know from my exercise classes, I'm always giving lots of options to do various things. And I also like that with my recipes. And when I coach people in nutrition, I always give lots of variety for their 7-day food rotation plans. And I always make sure that we're teaching them the fundamentals of food so that they understand why it is important to combine certain foods together, as well as some other fundamentals such as, you know, your food timing is important as well. You know, making sure that you are getting breakfast in, making sure that you do get an adequate lunch and a good dinner in. Okay, so all right, so we finished off with the putting all the egg into the muffin tin. Now what I'm going to do, I've preheated the oven to 350 degrees. We're just going to pop that into the oven, and then we're going to move on with our recipes and talk about some other fun goodies. All right, so we'll pop that in there. Now for the timing, I usually start off with the about 25 minutes. Now I usually find that's pretty good, but guys, you have to also remember too that everybody's oven is a little bit different and may cook slightly different. So let's just use 25 minutes as our guideline, and then have a check to make sure that our egg is cooked and we're doing what we need to do. So okay, so what we're going to do then, we're just going to allow that to go ahead and start timing. And then what I'm going to do here is just clear away my space, and then I'm going to bring out the next recipe. All right, so we've got some egg here. We got to clean that up. We do not want to contaminate our foods, so just clean that up really quickly. Okay. So the next recipe that we're going to be focusing on is a breakfast smoothie. But again, too, like, you can use your smoothie anytime. So I'm just going to show you here. I use the Ninja. This is a machine that is kind of like a blender. It's just a smaller version. So this is the machine that we're going to be using today. But you can use a Vitamix. You can use a regular blender. It doesn't really matter. Whatever you have handy in your kitchen. All right. So just move this guy off to the side. And then I've got a whole new amount of ingredients to share with you. Okay. All right. Okay, so we've got the Ninja cup. So we're gonna start off with that. And now, for the liquid portion of the your smoothie drink, you can add in water. It's kind of plain. I usually use water most of the time in my protein shakes, but you can buy almond milk, coconut milk. You can buy, if you use soy milk, you can use that. People sometimes use milk. Again, like I said, I'm dairy intolerant. And if some of us do not tolerate dairy products very well, then it's best to use other substitutes. Now, for today's recipes, we're going to be using fresh almond milk. And what I mean by that is that we actually don't buy our almond milk. We make it from scratch. And let me tell you, it is so good, because then we can flavor it any way that we want. And it's very light on the stomach. I find a lot of the almond milks that we purchase in the store, and again, speaking from experience, they're a little bit heavier, but that's okay. You get your almond milks from the store. You can use any brand that you want, that you like preferably, and that's what we'll use. Okay, so we're going to start off with a 1/4 cup of fluid. Now we may need to add just a little bit extra here, because I'm not adding in ice cubes. Now, the recipe that I will include will have ice cubes in it. So we'll take that into consideration. I'm not a big ice cube person. I don't like freezing cold things. So I tend to use more lukewarm or just out of the fridge type of stuff. Okay, again, I've used about a handful of spinach here. So any amount that you want to use is fine, but I will say in the recipe about a handful of that works great. And then I've taken a semi-thawed amount, half a cup, sorry, of blueberries. Okay, so again, like I'm not a big frozen person, so I let them thaw out just a little bit. So I'm going to put that in there, give that a good shake. Okay, and then we have a banana. So I always like to make sure that, you know, if you, about, you know, a banana that's a little bit on the yellow side, some people like them really, really ripe, that's fine too. It just means that the sugar content in them is a lot higher. So you kind of want to pick bananas that are sort of in between. They're not green, but they've got that yellow in them. They have a good consistency. Now, you can also add in a little bit of honey if you like into this recipe. So that's fine too. We tend to lay off a little bit on the sugars, whether they are natural occurring. I'm not a big sugar person, so I'll be honest there. But I do live with somebody who is a big sugar person. He's giving me a dirty look right now. So we can put that right into our smoothie. Okay, so just dip that in there a little bit. So again, too, now because I'm not using ice, I may need to play with my liquid a little bit. But let's give this a try and see what happens. Okay. All right. Okay, so just take this. I'm going to screw this lid on. Now this is going to get really loud in a second here. Let's shake this down. Okay, so this is turning out pretty amazing right now. I think we look pretty good. We're really mixed up. Let me just give it another couple shots here. Sorry for the loudness. All right. Okay, let's see what we have here. All right, so I'm just going to grab a glass. We'll pour this in a glass for us so that we can have a nice look at what we've created. Blueberry spinach smoothie. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, ah, looks amazing. All right. Good. Okay. So we've got we've got part of our breakfast made anyways. And you can use these as snacks too, which is great. You don't even have to just have it at breakfast. You can make up a little bit of extra, have some for breakfast, and then save some for maybe your lunch or later on in the day is fine too. Even post workout, after you've worked out, you get a little bit of carbohydrates here, natural occurring sugars, and of course some greens and some healthy almond milk to add to that. Okay, so let's just push this off to the side for now. And then we're going to move on to one more recipe. Now this one's kind of cool. I think you'll really like this one. This one has a nice variety of goodies in it. Okay. All right, so just clearing off my space. And then we're going to bring over some of the other goodies that we have for this next recipe. Got lots of fun stuff here. So a lot of these things that I'm actually using are just in my own pantry. So we do eat very healthy here. We choose lots of whole foods, as we call them. So not processed per se. So we don't bring a lot of processed food into this house. If anything, we decide to do takeout or some sort like that, sometimes obviously that stuff's going to have processed food in it or ingredients in it, but we definitely eat a whole food diet here. Okay, so first thing, we're gonna actually build an oatmeal recipe or an overnight oatmeal treat. So this would be great for breakfast or just any type of snack that you want. Now, there is so many different ways to make this. I will be posting the one way, but of course you can experiment with other ways. Okay, so for first things first, we're gonna build the base. So we've got a 1/4 cup of oats that go into the glass jar. And I mean, who doesn't really not have a mason jar floating around in their kitchen? But if you don't, it's not a big deal. Just use a glass even. That's fine too. All right, so just get all these goodies out of here. So I'm using rolled oats, and I'll specify that in the recipe as well. Okay, so from there, I'm going to put the liquid in. Now, with the liquid and the oats, and as we're building this recipe is going to then sit in the fridge overnight so that everything can solidify together. Okay, so here I'm using a 1/2 cup of almond milk. Again, I made the almond milk, and the recipe that that I will be posting also calls for a 1/2 and a bit more. So just judge based on that. That's fine too. So we'll just make sure that these guys are even here. This looks pretty good. Building our base here. All right. Okay, so we'll put that off to the side. All right, now we have a variety of goodies that are going to go into this recipe. So that being said, we have 1 to 2 tablespoons each of almond butter. Now I'm using almond hazelnut. That's what I have in my pantry today, so that's what I'm going to use. So that's going to go into my jar here. So again, you want anywhere from 1 to 2 tablespoons per jar. That's fine too. Healthy nut butters, great option for healthy fat choices. Right. And also, let's not forget that healthy fats also help stabilize the blood sugar. So, and it also creates your blood sugar to be stable longer, so you feel better, you feel more energized. All right, so just get all this out of here, all this goodness. If my dogs were down here right now, they'd be begging for some nut butter. Nut butter, they love it. All right, okay, so let's get that all in there. Ooh, we got so many dishes to do later. All right, so next up, let's do some unsweetened coconut, okay, shredded coconut. So again, anywhere from 1 to 2 tablespoons is fine. So we'll just put 1/2 of that in on each side. All right. And then, ooh, the good stuff. We got some dairy-free chocolate chips. Now, lots of these things I just pick up at Bulk Barn. And again, too, there's just all these extra things that I keep in my pantry because these are the types of things that we cook with in our home. Okay, then we also have a teaspoon of cacao. Okay, cacao, not cocoa. All right, it's different. So you can find cacao at the Bulk Barn. This is the lighter variation of it. You can also buy the darker variation. So it's just a higher percent of cacao in it. So that adds some chocolatey flavor. Now, the almonds part. So I'm just going to move my stuff here out of the way. And I'm going to just bring out my other chopping board here. And this is about 2 tablespoons per mixture. Okay, so I've used about 2 tablespoons per jar, and I'm going to just chop it up. So let me just clean off a knife here. All right. Again, we got lots of healthy fats going here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to gently crush these almonds up. And what's actually really nice is when you put these almonds into the mixture, they're going to soak overnight with the almond milk, and they're going to be soft when you eat them. So they're not going to be crunchy and hard and whatnot. They're going to take on the liquid as well, which is perfect. And that's actually how we make almond milk. We submerge the almonds in water, maybe add a little bit of salt sometimes, depending. And then we let them soak for 4 hours, or maybe just in the overnight, depending on how busy we are. And then I have a machine that I run the almonds through, and it crushes up the almonds, squeezing out the liquid, and then it produces us fresh almond milk. So it's so good. If you guys have never tried it, you really have to try it. Okay, so I'm going to take this now, and I'm going to divide it up into my jars. Just line it up with my camera. All right. Okay, so into the jars. It's so informal. I love it. You can be a little bit of a sloppy cook, or you can be a really neat cook about this, but whatever you want, just throw it all in there. All right. Okay. Get all these delicious slivers in here. All right. Okay, so that's the chopped almonds. Now, just a couple more things here that we have to finish off with. Now, that's going to be a little bit of honey. And I'm going to talk for just a moment about the fruit. Now, in this particular recipe, if you're going to do the banana, you're going to add the banana in the morning, or when you're ready to eat your cereal. Okay, so don't add the banana in and then put it in the fridge overnight, because the banana is going to go brown. Okay, so we've got a little bit of honey here. So again, I don't have a big sweet tooth. So if you like a little bit more sugar, such as natural honey, you go right ahead and put in what you like, okay? So if you know me and my teaching techniques, I say the same thing. If you don't like this doesn't feel good to you, then do something that works for your body, something that you like and enjoy. All right. Now from here, because we don't really need to worry about berries turning brown. Now what I did here, I just, as extras, I threw in some frozen cherries, I threw in some blackberries and some raspberries. And what I really love about these types of fruits is that it really jacks up the antioxidant level of nutrients for your nutrition. So again, now this is optional, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to throw some berries into this mixture. So I got some frozen cherries. My camera guy loves cherries, so I'm going to definitely treat him to this one. And then just remember too, so you chop up your banana, you're going to put that banana in afterwards. So then the next day after you take your treat out to eat it. Okay, so fill it up the way you like it. And then after this, before this all goes into the refrigerator, you would just then take a lid, okay? So screw the lid onto your mason jar. I don't have my lid at the moment. So you're going to screw the lid onto the mason jar, and you're going to shake that mason jar, and you're going to put them into the refrigerator. Okay, guys, so I hope that you enjoyed the cooking lesson for today, and look for the next one in April. We'll have some good things cooking up then as well. All right, guys, have a great day, and bye for now.